Okay, welcome y'all to another Friday, June 20th. I'm your man SRD, aka Shadi Ali, with my man Jay Sean,
Yeah.
aka Mr. F Love. What's good, people? What's good, my brother?
What's going on? What's going on?
Yeah,
I still get jitters when we get ready to start.
yeah, man. Never know what it's gonna be like, man. You know what I'm saying? It's all for the fans, man. You know,
Yeah, you
that's
right
it.
about that.
It's all for the people. Hopefully bring them some edutainment, some education and some entertainment. That's
Yeah.
what that's what it's about.
Yep, yep,
Get
yep,
it, get a chance to you know, uh, unwind,
yep,
disconnect from everyday life. You know,
yeah, yep.
so and here I am, family. I'm keeping it up. I'm keeping it a buck with y'all. I ain't even got my blackout on. I don't have my hat on. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I'm just chilling in the crib with family now. You know, that's it. Only thing I got on is my shades. That's it. My necklace and a couple rings. That's it. Yeah, but what's good, brother? I mean, did you see that? It was a video they had on Instagram. I believe I sent it to you. It's a video of cops pulling the guy over, and the guy, what they say, uh, he wouldn't conform, basically. You know what I mean? He wouldn't adhere to what the cop was saying.
And they was beating him up. One cop was punching him.
Nah, that was the young boy. That was the young boy, the
That was another
16-year
one.
old. Right. No, we talking about this. This was a guy. He was in the car.
Oh,
He wouldn't follow the cop command, basically. And they pulled the gun out, and before you know it, they started busting off.
he pulled a gun.
He didn't pull the gun. The cop had the gun, and he had his phone in his hand, and he was like, "Yo, I don't got nothing. This is my phone. Don't grab me. Get off of
Mm,
me." He was doing like that, and they was like, "Look, put your hands on top of the hood. Put your hands
mm,
on top of the hood." He was like, "Don't touch me. I ain't doing nothing wrong. Why you pull me over? What's going on?" Next thing you know, shots fired. And then, the cops start firing shots. Then the cops gonna say, "Shots fired, shot fired." And before you know it, whoever was filming it, it cut off at that point. You know.
lit him up. Lit him up.
Yeah. Well, that's the way it appears.
Mm. I'm gonna tell you something, man. When the cops pull me over, I just comply. I ain't gonna lie to you. When the cops pull me over, um, from watching enough TV and stuff like that, uh, when the cops pull me over, I turn the car off. I take the key out. Um, I turn the inside light. If it's nighttime, I'll turn the inside light on in the car, and I'll put the keys on the dash, and I just keep my hands
Where
where
they
they
can
can
see
see
it.
them. Yeah, it's bad that we got to do all that,
Yeah.
but but we've been through some things with cops, so
Well, yeah. I remember that incident where I basically called them two cops out. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
I told them, look, put your guns up, and let's go in the cell, just us three.
yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Let's do that. You
yeah.
know? So
I don't want to mess around with that gang.
hey, I mean, it's sad. It's sad that it has to go down that way. That I just brought it up because it was just on my mind to bring it up.
Yeah, no, it's real. It's real. We got sons. We got sons. We got grandsons. We got friends with sons.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's sad that when you see them, you get, I still get, now that's when I get a little jittery when they
Yeah,
behind me. And I know I'm not doing nothing wrong. I still get a little jittery if they behind me.
yeah,
And
me
that's
too.
and that's not good. You know what I'm
No,
saying? So,
I get jittery too, man.
I I think now I get more jittery now than when I was doing stuff. You know what
Yep,
I'm
that's
saying?
and that's crazy.
Right. Yeah.
That's crazy, man. But hey, we here.
Yeah, 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 yeah. We here for a reason, man. You know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We here for a reason, man. How was your week?
Hey, productive, man. It was productive. Still, closing in on the book, getting everything together, lining up the ducks, man, and knocking them down. That's up. That's it.
I have kind of refrained from talking about my book that came out June 7th because I'm waiting for the right time. So I'm going through a couple of things, so I'm just waiting for the right time. I'm spending a little money to make certain moves and stuff, and hopefully it won't have to get to that. But it's a learning lesson, man. In life, everything is a learning lesson, man. And listen, it's a reason why New Edition broke up. It's a reason why Eddie Kendricks was that Eddie Kendricks who was that left Temptations.
Well, Eddie Kendricks was one of them.
Yeah,
You
Eddie
know,
Kent. No, but who was the other main guy? That
David
was giving
Ruffin.
David Ruffin,
Yeah, David Ruffin was the first one to leave.
giving them all that wreck, and Ice Cube left NWA, and it's a reason for all that. So hey, things happen,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, sometimes it's out of your control. Sometimes things happen that's out of your control.
and sometimes things get greater later, and then sometimes you gotta, how they say, you gotta go through hell to make it right.
Yeah,
That's a true statement. So
yeah, go. Yeah, well, I mean, that was definitely our model as the 5%ers. Hella right. You know what I'm saying?
so hope I ain't gonna talk too much about it, but hopefully I don't never have to talk about it except for good things.
Yeah, I mean, things happen, brother. Things happen. I mean, like I said, everything we can't control,
Right.
and but whatever we can control, we do our best to control. And I always say it's only thing you can control is yourself. Can't control how another person gonna respond, what another person gonna do, but you can control you.
Exactly.
So that's a little tidbit for everybody listening.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It's all
Thaddeus,
everything in
what's up, brother?
everything is life is for each one teach one. You know what I mean? So what we go through, you might be able to tell somebody else, and they might don't go through it.
Yeah,
You know, so hey, whatever. Like I said, we still here.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Everybody who's still around, I would suggest, try to find out what it is you're here for. You know what I
Mm,
mean? Try to find that out. And whatever it is you're here for, do your best to strive to accomplish it. I've heard, people say, like, what do you want to put between that dash? You know what I'm saying? From the time you born to the time you leave. What you
yeah.
want people to remember about you in that dash. Do you
Mm-hmm.
want to so that's the thing that that I'm concentrating on now, man. What I'm gonna put in that dash.
Right. Well, you on the right track. Or we on the right track.
Yeah, yeah, well, yeah, that's it, man.
So
What's
we
about, man?
like that.
Yeah. So let's get into it, brother. Let's get into it. You know
Um,
what?
yeah. Who I forgot who we got to start remembering who went first last week. I forgot. I think I went first
Yeah,
last week.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I tell everybody we got a different platform where we ask each other questions and we try to go 10 minutes each on the questions and they about everything. You know what I mean? From culture, um, a little bit of religion, a little bit of relationships, life, current events, history. You know what I mean? We talk about
Yeah,
everything. We talk
yeah,
about
yeah,
everything here.
yeah. A little bit of everything. That's what That's what life is about. The unexpected and being and trying to be, ready for the unexpected. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That
Uh,
at least that's how I look at it.
no, it's real. It's real. I got at the end of the show. I got something to say about that, but I'll leave it for the end. But
Yeah,
let's get started. I
yeah,
think I
yeah.
went first last week, so
All right. So
I'll shoot you my first question. I got it in back of me on some screen, so 1 second. Um, um, well, it's kind of like what we was just talking about with the cops and the guy and everything is so much in this world black and white. Um, when uh when a black guy does something, everybody takes the black person's side. When a white person does something, everybody take the white person's side. It's just the way it is. Um, so with that question, I want to ask you: do you think that black and white people are in competition, or do you think we just destined to be enemies?
mm, all right, like okay. So when we say black and white, right? We already talking about colors. You know what I'm saying? We're not even talking about a landmass. We're not even talking about a nationality. And when I say a nationality, I mean legal identity, a legal way to identify yourself. So my my opinion when it comes to black and white, I think that there are American Europeans, Europeans in America, the ones that got the ones that put the insurance companies together, the ones that make sure the taxes is getting hiked up, the ones that's behind the food going up. These are not white people per se, because we get it twisted a lot of times. You'll hear us talking and we'll be like, man, the white people are messing things up. No, white people suffering too. When they go to the supermarket, they're not getting no discount on that food. You know, certain things they may get a discount in, as far as like, okay, they may get a better interest rate, but that's to keep them feeling like they're superior or they're better or special, more special than us.
Right.
See, that's a psychological game that the top European Americans play on all of us. Because the reality is, I don't see us as enemies. Sure, we're competition, but we're in competition with the next man that look like us, depending on what it is. You know what I'm saying? Depending on what we're going for. So I don't I don't look at no one as my enemy.
Hmm.
I me myself personally, I don't have enemies. I have people that I dislike their actions. I
Hmm.
dislike things they do, I dislike ways that they carry themselves, and you know what I mean, actions and things of that nature. But I don't hate anyone. So I think as so-called black and white people, we need to band together and try to make it better for us as human beings. Just the fact that those of us who acknowledge ourselves as black, and we say, uh, thank thanks for the civil rights, thanks for the civil rights movement. But when you look at civil rights, those are rights that was granted by America to us as a people, which comes with limitations that they get to place on us. So I don't, me myself, I prefer human rights.
Mm.
And for me, it's difficult to be a human when every human being on the face of the earth, they are tied to a landmass that identifies them. You know what I mean? Even white people who say that they white, if you dig deep enough, they either Ireland, they from Ireland, they from Italy, you know, they come from different lands that they can connect to. First thing we say is, I'm from Africa. I'm African American. And I start challenging people when we say that, like, where your relatives at? How many phone calls you make to Africa? How many times have you visited Africa? You know what I mean? These people who say they from other lands, they can go to these other lands.
Mm.
We go to Africa, where are we gonna go? Let's be real. You know what I'm saying? There's like 54 different countries in Africa. So which one are we from? So for me, I just think it's a trick to keep us apart as a people. And the other trick is to make us feel like we don't belong here. Like
Right.
we that whole we was brought here on the boat, and who else came on the boat? The same jokers who turned America into America came on the boat.
Yeah.
So why is it such a big deal that our ancestors supposedly came on a boat, and we don't have human rights? We got to get civil rights, and they can have human rights. So I just think it's an unfair practice that was utilized by calling people black and calling people white, so you can keep the separation so that people don't come together and fix the ones who really the problem. And that's my answer.
No, that's a good answer. That's good. That's a good answer. Um. I want to look at the question again.
Well, my thing, there's now, well, let's get on something different. There's a lot of individuals who predominant, and this is, I just say just men, period. Men, there's a lot of men who are ruled, basically by their desire, their sexual desire. And, when you rule by your sexual desire, I just feel like, it's something that, you know, well, let me give you a question, because you often say, things about this. You say a man who, can't be ruled by his sexual desires is a dangerous man. So explain that to us. Why you say that?
I say that a man who can't be controlled by sex is a dangerous man. I say that because a lot of women use they sex as
Peace, Jay. Peace, Jay.
a lot of people use their sex. A lot of females, they use their sex as a tool. Um, people heard me say it. I said this 100 times. I remember when I was 15, and one of my older brothers told me, he was like, if you could keep your mind off, if you could keep your mind off, if you could live your life and keep your mind off of your like all your thoughts and everything, or every day, if you can keep your mind off of sex, you will always have the upper hand on the next man because that's all men think about. When I was 15, I really didn't understand what he was saying.
Right.
But then as I got older, I'll be around a lot of guys, and it's like that's all they talk about is sex, sex, sex. I mean, I could go around people right now, and all they talk about is sex. So a lot of women, believe it or not, a lot of women use they use their vagina as a tool. They know that men are sex crazy. That's why a lot of times you could see a man with a lot of money and he'd be chasing a female that don't have no money. You know, he just after the physical. But if you do the knowledge on that, it really makes no sense at all. Because you could be stable. You could have a house, you could have a car, you could have a job, you could have money in the bank, right?
Right.
And the female you chasing could have nothing, but you still gonna chase her. So why I say a man who's not controlled by sex is dangerous is because you don't have nothing to stop you. You you don't you if you see a woman and she got a nice body, you see right through that. You want to know, okay, you got a nice body, you got a nice shape, you got a big rear end and big chest and all that. But what do you bring to the table? Do you got a job? You got your own place? You got a car? Do you got money? You know what I mean? Can you meet me like halfway there, 50-50? Can you meet me there? So when a man doesn't need a woman for sex, or when a man is not sex crazy, or when a woman when a woman who feel like her sex is using her sex for a tool, but and you have a man who is not, who can't be phased by sex, then that's dangerous. That's dangerous because now it's almost like he's an indecent species, endangered species, or something like that. Why? Reason being is because it's not that many men like that. Believe it or not. How many times in your life have you, not you, well, we speak hypothetically speaking. How many times in your life have a woman tried to have sex with you and you turned her down? See me, I turned down a lot of women in my life. A lot, a lot, a lot. Maybe some I shouldn't have, but I turned down a lot of women. But it's not a lot of men that can say that. It's men out here that every woman that wanted to have sex with them, they had sex with them. That's because they was weak for sex. And when it, how they what's that saying? And they say you fall for something, you fall for everything, something like that. But you know what I mean.
Right.
If you strong enough not to be weak for sex, then you a strong man. And when you a strong man, you dangerous in the world and the society we live in. Um, you got your own career, you got your own mind. You driven to you what goals you want to be driven to, and you could walk right past a big butt like it's nothing, because it is nothing unless it's what come behind it. A brain, a career, um, stability, a profession, um, and all that other stuff that go
Yeah,
along with it.
aspirations, all that kind of stuff. Yeah,
So
what you're inspired to, that type of thing.
yeah, so I mean, so saying it's a danger, man. Maybe dangerous is the wrong word, but um, it's not too many. It's not too many like that. You know what I mean? It's not too many of them like that. That's why I say, um,
Well,
uh,
maybe like you said, endangered species.
yeah,
maybe that's maybe that's a better word.
yeah. But yeah, but that's my thoughts on that. But everything it's kind of it's a coincidence because everything we talking about tonight is coinciding with the next thing because that's almost like leading to the next question I have for you.
Okay,
Um, just like I was talking about females using their sex as a tool,
right.
not all women do that. Not all women raised like that. Sometimes females do what they seen their mother do, or females do what they seen their sisters do, or their aunts do, or their friends do. Now, the females I'm talking about right now are fatherless females. You know what I mean? So taking that taking that all in perspective from what we was talking about. You know what I mean? Do 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 you really do you think that girls need their fathers in their lives, or do you think a girl needs her father in their life, or do you think they could they can grow up and be productive and decent and all that if they just raised by their mother? Is it a chance for them to be raised the same with a mother than it would be if they had a father in the household?
It's a good question. Basically, like what you were saying, that you know, personally, I believe it's better for a woman to have their father in their lives. Let me tell you why. They get the chance to see a model of a man, something to aspire to. Or if their father's slipping it, something to not want. You know what I mean? Depending. But in most cases, if they got a good father, then there's certain things that they're not going to tolerate right off the bat because they're used to their father either treating their mother, like you said, they learn from their mother. So if they see their father treating their mother a certain way, then that's what they're going to be looking for. They're going to be looking for a man. If their father opened the door for the mother, the father's very soft spoken and tender with the mother. More than likely, that's what they're going to be attracted to. Now, if they meet an individual who where the father is abusive, verbally or whatever, then that's going to be another thing that they would be attracted to. So the hope is that they have a father that they look up to, that they communicate with, that opens them up and make them more comfortable communicating with a male and be able to have raise their standards for what they choose, in their lives. So that's my thing. That's what I think, you know, why it's important for a woman a girl to have their father in their
But
life.
you said the right thing. You said a good father.
Right,
That was
right,
the
right,
right thing. When you said a good father, you know what I mean?
right.
You hit it right on the nose with that.
Yeah, because we know there could be an opposite effect. There could be another type of father that's basically I would say unhealthy, unhelpful. You know what I'm saying? More detrimental. So, and even if you're not the biological father, you can be a father figure. Because I think a lot of nowadays there's a large number of women who don't really have experience having positive male role models. You know what I'm saying? Father figures in their lives. So it kind of uh, handicaps them. It kind
Hmm.
of handicaps them in the department when it's time to communicate. When it's time to get a clear view on what a man is about. So I definitely think it's super important for us as men. You know what I mean? Young men, to put time in with your daughters as well as your sons.
Hmm.
Because, at some point, it's necessary for us to put ourselves aside just to build a better future with the next generations. And
Right.
those are my thoughts.
No, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. Hey, what's up? What's up, Margie? What's up, Sharon? So, what is your thoughts? What do you think about it? What do you think about?
Um, I mean, for me, it's like it's like a no brainer. Like, I mean, you answered it well. I mean, if it's a good father in the household, you know, it got to be to the advantage. It got to be to advantage to helping the girl grow up to be a good woman. Not all the time. Sometimes you have bad seeds, but I mean, more than most of the times, I would think so. Like, you gotta
Hey,
have
Mark.
you gotta have a father figure. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Um, then you can have a bad father sometime, and the daughter still grow up to be good, or you can have a good father and the daughter
yeah,
turn out to be bad. But more than likely, a good father um gonna produce a good daughter. You know, because daughters, they look up to their fathers. You know what I mean? Like,
right,
that's
right.
their king, that's their knight in shining armor, that's their Superman. You know,
Yeah,
so I believe it's a good thing. I believe it's a good thing.
okay, yeah. Well, and I do too. I think it's because I myself I missed out on my daughters, their early lives. You know what I mean? So I that's I don't have a lot of regrets in my life. You know what I'm saying? But that's something that's a regret that I wasn't there for them their entire lives. That's that I if anybody asks me what I regret, that would be what I
That
regret.
that was gonna be one of my questions tonight. But I scratched it off. Do you have any regrets? It's funny. That's what's funny that you said that. But that was gonna be one of my questions
Oh, okay,
right
yeah,
there.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
you
But
got any more?
definitely, yeah. Well, you already got the answer. That's what mine would be. That would
Yeah.
be mine. Now we know that you have a certain view when it comes to love, you know, and we don't always agree on it because I feel like people love on different levels, but have that view changed, with the love don't
Um.
exist, dude. Has that view changed?
Um. It hasn't changed. No, it hasn't changed yet. I'm still Mr. F Love. I was the other day, sometimes I sit back, I think to myself when I'm alone. And I was telling myself that the times we living in is really it's really kind of like a sad state because we have so much uh divorce rates and people separating and people cheating on each other and you know breaking vows and things like that. And I was thinking to myself, like, when I try to make um good good reasons to make myself to believe that love is good and love is real. And no matter how much I think about it in my mind, I still can't come up with the reason or a reason that would make me change and say that love was real or that I need love. I for people that's look at for example for the people that's in love right now. I know you say everybody got different kind of love, and love comes in different shapes, form, and fashions and all that, but I was telling somebody the other day, I was talking to somebody the other day that been single for a long time, and I said that a good woman, she's single, and she's a good lady, don't run the streets and all, works and all that. But I told her, why you think you've been single so long? If you've been single so long, why haven't you met your soulmate? Why haven't you met um somebody that you want to try to make it in a relationship or make it in life with? The reason is because it's slim pickings right now. It's slim pickings because it's going to be hard to find two people with the same values and the same thoughts that want the same thing in life. Unless you've been together for 10, 20, 30 years, then if y'all ain't on the same page, then I don't know, I don't know what to say. Because you've been with somebody that long, you got to be on the same page. 10 years, 20 years, 30, you have to be. That's a long ass time. I'm talking about people who single right now and looking for love and searching for love out here, and why they don't have it, but they continue to search for it. They continue to say, "Well, I'm waiting for God to send me a man," or um, "I just don't see it yet." You you still single because it's hard to find two people with the same values and they want the same thing. Um, marriages marriages people is married is breaking up because people not valuing their they not valuing their vows that they took to get married. Um, people is breaking up because you got people that's dating, that you got people that come into relationships and still know they cheating and still got other baggage and luggage that they can't let go. I'm not really pointing fingers at nobody or blaming somebody, and I also don't want to say that that's just the way it is, because I don't like that. Oh, that's just it is what it is. That's just the way it is. No, that's not just the way it is. If two people come together with one common goal and love for each other, then that's all it should be. Um, It shouldn't deal with bringing luggage into the relationships. You know what I mean? Or stuff that could take away from the relationships. You got married women that's hanging with single women. That's not gonna work. Married men that's hanging with single men. That's not gonna work. When I be talking in circles and stuff like that, but when I be talking in circles, I really be wanting answers. I really be wanting somebody to come out here this show or to come to me and say, "Look, Jay, love is not easy. This is how love is. Look, I'm living it." Cause
Well, well,
I see you smiling. You want to say something, but you get ready to say something. But you
cause,
see what I said though, right? You didn't let me finish. I want somebody. I don't want somebody to just come out here and tell me what love is. I want somebody to come out here and tell me, "Listen, Jay, I know what you're saying, but look at me. I'm living it. I'm 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 living it. I'm living it. I love my wife and my wife loves me and we don't cheat each other and we only want each other and we want to grow old together just like that that's it. You know what I mean? And I could give her my phone and she could give me her phone and we could trust each other with passcodes and I could be in Mexico and she could be in Amsterdam. And
and
is
the
that
reality
impossible?
is, I believe that exists. You know what I'm saying? It just may not be,
Where?
and let's say this, it just may not be in your immediate circle. You know what I'm saying? It just may not be in your immediate circle
Well,
because
let's expand my
right.
circle.
Well, that's what I'm saying, because I've met men
Yeah.
who said, I love my wife. I can't live without my wife.
Okay.
I've heard brothers say that. You know what I'm saying? So, and it's like, okay, kudos. But because people are different, the thing is like, okay, we consistently talk about um, men being with their wife and things of that nature and being happy. Maybe a person would be happy if they had multiple wives, or they had this situation with this female. She had multiple husbands. She was happy. So I think what happens is people get attracted to the wrong people. Like, everybody's not monogamous. Let's just be real about that. Everybody don't want to be with just one person. Some people may operate better having another person in their life. You know what I'm saying? But because society has frowned upon it, where you basically have to sneak and do it. It's not like you could say, like in the Bible days. In the Bible days, they had multiple wives. You know, the one that the prophet father Samuel. In the Bible, his father had two wives. So
King Solomon.
yeah. So individuals have more than one wife. And when it comes to that, it's like we got to be real, and like, when a person usually cheats or whatever, I don't a lot of times I don't think that even be their intention. Some people, that's not even their intentions. Some people missing something in their relationship, and most times it's communication. The key factor why a lot of relationships don't work is because people have poor communication skills. And if you have poor communication skills, how you ever going to get on the same page? You can't get on the same page. You may stay there, but you're not on the same page because the communication is not working. Anytime that I was with another woman, I had good communication with her. I'll say at least 95% of the time, I had good communication. So the communication led to more. The communication was like the seed.
Hmm.
So, when you say, somebody that can have their phone and say, look, here, you can take my phone, this, that, and the other. Hey, I right now where I'm at as an individual, you know, I made a conscious decision to just be with my wife. You know what I mean? I made a conscious decision to do that. Now, and that was something she wanted. So out of love, see what people don't get out with love is sacrifice. You got to sacrifice something in love a lot of times. Um, but I want to read what Margie said. Go backwards a minute, and when what we were talking about when we were talking about the fathers and the daughters. She said, daughters should have great fathers. However, she says she think most women, mimic their mothers, as what you said. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Most women mimic their mothers.
They
So,
do.
yeah, so I agree. If and like you said, in every case, there's always exceptions to every rule.
I just wanna see it. Like I wanna
Well,
see it.
why don't you be it, man? Forget
That
seeing it. Why don't
that
you be it? Why
that
don't you
that's
be
that,
that guy?
that's what I started off saying. I said I was talking to myself, and I was
Yeah,
like saying, why can't find no I said it. That's what I started off when I said I was sitting by myself, talking to myself, and I was saying I I need a sign. Show me a sign or something, right? Everywhere around, everywhere. What you said in my small everywhere around me,
yeah.
I
Well,
see
yeah,
negative.
your
I see
immediate
negative.
circle, your immediate circle.
In
That's what you see. So,
in my media circle, I see nothing but adultery and fornication and cheating and deceiving and cultivation and trick knowledge and that's all I see. So you know, I wish I knew, or I wish somebody could show me an example. Like I don't know.
yeah,
I'm a lost cause. Forget about me.
yeah, because
I'm a lost cause because I can't even be around people long. So I'm so I'm so out of touch with that love thing that I probably got something that won't even allow me. I don't know. I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah, like right now, I could give my wife my phone. You know what I mean? Being honest, like I'm not doing nothing where you know, like like she answers my phone. You know what I mean? Now, years ago, that didn't happen. You know what I'm saying? But she answered my phone. Why? Because I don't. I'm not doing anything to feel nervous about. You know what I'm saying? Or anything that I'm afraid for her to have my phone.
Hey,
So so
you're a good brother.
yeah, and I've been that way for some years now. But I often say to her, "Look, I don't know how long I can keep it up, but but, but I say that. But the reality is, look, for me, I realize that for me, where I'm at now, that a lot of times when you have outside people, you're not only hurting the person that's in your home. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You're not only hurting the person that you supposedly be with, supposedly are with. You're also hurting the person that you're stringing along. You know what I'm saying? And my mom kind of put me on that. She's like, it's like you hurting two people. You hurting the person that was expecting you to be faithful, and you're hurting the person that now wants you to be faithful to them, basically.
That's true.
So for me, I'm like, at this point in my life, if I decided I wanted to do something, I tell my wife, look, I can't do this no more. I just want to be by myself. And anybody I deal with, I would be like, look, I'm not ready to have no serious relationship. That's what I would do at this point in my life, because the lying, I believe, makes it worse for women. You know what I'm saying? I think they can deal women can take more than we think they can take. We lie because a lot of times they fly off the handle, but in the long run, they got to respect that though. You know what I'm saying? Because you came clean. They ain't had to hear from nobody. You came clean. Because I've done that in relationships before. I've came clean.
Hey, well, that leads up to another question. Then, well, the last question I got for you tonight. Um, it bounces right into the next thing. That is love. Do you think that love is better said or shown?
Um, uh,
'Cause some people like, I love you, I love you. Get off the
and,
phone, I love you.
and
Go get a walk out the door, I love
I
you.
love you. I love you.
Hang up the phone, I love you.
Yeah, and my opinion is, for me, I'd rather you show me more and tell me less.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times, people, as you said, people, I love you. I love you.
All day.
You know what I mean? But if you're saying it, who you trying to convince, me or yourself? You got to say it all that many times. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? So if I would always say to my wife, look, I'd rather show you than tell you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'd rather show you than tell you. And she, well, I like to hear it too. All right. Well, me, I'd rather feel it from you showing me. I think it's an action word, but it's also an emotional thing too. It's actions and emotions.
Right.
So it for me is not so much verbal as it is, visual and emotional.
Yeah.
So I think, you can show a person can see it, and then they can feel it. And I think if you're showing them and they feel it, most people won't mind if you're not saying it that often.
They won't.
You know what I'm saying? Because you can be saying I love you and smack the heck out of
Or
them.
cheating.
Yeah, I love you, and you go tell the next person I love you too. You know what I'm saying? So it it's for me. I definitely rather feel it and see it than hear it.
Me too. I agree.
You
I
know what I
agree.
mean? That's
I
my thing.
I agree. I agree. I'd rather be shown it than just every time we get off the phone, I love you. Every time you walk out the door, I love you. Every time I see you, we walking away, I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you. I'd rather it be shown.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
definitely. What's the last question for me?
The last question for you. Let me see. Oh, okay. So we've known each other for a minute, man, and you know, I remember you was a shy guy, didn't really, you didn't even really want to throw no knuckles at a point.
Mhm. That's true. I
but
tell everybody that.
but you know, after your first fight, you got into that. Then it wasn't. And they can read that in the book. They can read that in the book. Your first fight, but you know, but after you came through all that, when did you know? When did you realize you had earned your street cred?
Oh, that's that two-part one. And when did I learn that it was time for me to change from the streets too?
Right,
That I want to ask you that too. So I'm gonna try to answer this briefly. Um, I know a time when you're young and you first start. Well, for people who might be out here from where we from Patterson, the inner city. Um, and I remember when I when when I first, I might have told you before that when we first, I guess, well, I first more likely start dressing on you know what I mean, and throwing stuff on. And I remember the visa sweaters
right.
came out. And I can't remember what pants we was wearing.
Was wearing the Omegas, the plaids,
Omegas and plaids,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, Omega plaids and stuff, yeah.
And I always remember this and it stick out in my mind. And I always say to myself, that's when I said to myself, I was think I had a summer job or something, and or maybe I was selling or something, and I had got me a couple of visas, and I remember I had seen God Bless the Dead, Vincent Clyburn. I think I told you before, Tashawn.
Right.
People don't know him. Is one of our friends. Shadi would knew him, was more closer to him. That passed away at a young age. I think how old was he when he died?
24.
24 years old. But he was like one of those people that was before their time. Well, Shadi was before his time too. That's probably why y'all got along so much. Um, but he was before his time. And I remember I was walking down the street one day, and I remember I had on think I had on a black Visa sweater, and I think it was gray and white. The V was gray and white,
Okay.
and I seen Tashawn coming down the street, and when I seen him, I had seen him a couple of times when I had on different other stuff. Once I started dressing, I guess
Right.
maybe ninth grade or something like that. Probably ninth grade, 10th grade, somewhere around there, when we was able to start buying our own stuff. And he just said, because uh, he was always shining. And one time he seen me, he said to me, he said, I see you.
Mhm.
He said, I see you. And and then he kept he kept walking by. But in my mind, that was the day that I said that to myself, like, I'm street validated now.
You got your cosign.
Yeah,
You got
yeah,
your
yeah.
cosign. You put the stamp on.
Yeah, that was like I heard Lil Wayne say one time. Lil Wayne was doing an interview and they was like, you ever talk to Jay-Z? This was years ago, and he was like, did Jay-Z ever give you any props? And he was like, no, we never really talked. He said, but he seen Jay-Z somewhere at a concert backstage or something, and he said Jay-Z just said, I see you. I see you, boy, I see you. And he was like, that's when he, like, Lil Wayne was like, like,
Yeah,
But
you
that was my moment right there
got to step. You got your step.
When Tashawn said to me, like, I see you. That was my moment of, you know,
Right. Okay.
that was like my okay now. Like I'm on the right path to being
Yeah.
a ghetto legend. And the other part of that the other part of that question, when did I know that
Yeah.
there
When
was
what
time
moment? Yeah. The
when it,
view. You know, when it was time to change, like the street life needed to change, basically.
well, I knew it was. I knew. Well, really, what happened with me when I knew it was time for me to change is when I had daughters, and then they started growing up, and then, I knew how it was then, because I knew how we was. You know what I mean with females,
Right.
not just me and you, all of us
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
crew.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I knew how it was to see. I knew how it was for us, to have main chicks and our side chicks and chicks on every block and stuff. I knew when my daughters start growing up, I started having daughters, then it kind of changed me. You know what I mean? From everything I was doing. Because then I didn't see life different. I um saw life different with a daughter growing up. Like I saw life different then. You know what I mean? Like, nah, you got to set examples. You can't live like this. You know what I mean? Now you got daughters that's gonna
So,
be growing up. You know what I mean? And you're gonna have guys out there trying to talk to them and do what you did to other people, daughters and nieces. So once I start having daughters, I got four daughters. Once I start having daughters, I knew
your
something
perspective
changed
had
with
to
me.
change. What's up,
Yeah,
cuz?
I knew I had to change. But that's the question that I got for you. I know we running late, but that's the question. That's a good question I got for you. When? Because it got to be like hard for you to answer, if you even got an answer, because it almost was like you was born with street cred. I mean, I'm not tooting your horn, and I'm just keeping it real, but everybody got that moment, that whether it's when you got a big name plate or when you smashed the finest chick or when you knocked somebody out or when you had money in the bank or I'll let you answer. When, if you got the answer, when was the moment that you think that you knew that I'm here, I'm finally here? And also, when was the moment when you knew it was time to uh leave the streets alone?
Uh, thanks, cuz. Uh, my moment was basically, you know, once I got to the point where I was making, you know, $1,000 a day, and you know, P cousin Kev, rest in
Oh,
peace,
Kev,
and Nard Brown, they
yeah,
they started gravitating towards me. You know what I'm saying? And I was, probably was like about 14,
yeah,
14, something like that. That's when I realized, right then, I'm like, okay, because they were older cats that I was kind of, looking up to. So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's what I kind of, I kind of knew.
That's when you knew that.
Yeah, 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 because he had inquired, because me and P was doing stuff together, and he was asking P where he getting all that from. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Me and P was doing, I was giving it to P, so that type of thing,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know.
So
But
when they start gravitating to you or acknowledging you
yeah,
as
yeah,
a
yeah,
pair,
yo, what's up? They used to call me Fast Dre. What's up, Fast
yeah,
Dre?
that's when you knew that uh that you had made your mark, or you was
Yeah,
on the way
yeah,
to making your mark.
yeah, yeah. You
And
know,
and when did you know that it was time to give all that up?
basically, like, when my son was born, it was, I knew I had to. I
Mm,
knew, especially because by the time my son was born, Raouf and Tosh had passed. So
mm,
it was like those were my two brothers. Now them two gone, and it's like, and it's the life we live in. So it just like, I'm like, if I got a choice to make, either I'm gonna end up in prison, I'm gonna end up deceased, or the other possibility, I could end up addicted, or I quit.
or in prison?
Well, that's what I said. Life in prison.
Oh, okay, yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
said that first. That was the first thing.
Oh, oh,
You
okay.
know, in prison for life, deceased, addicted, or you let it go. Those are the four cycles that I've seen with that life. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? Those four cycles. Most people get caught up in one of the three. You know what I mean? A lot of times, that leaving thing was the toughest thing, to leave to leave a life that is lucrative, that
yeah,
you can be, you're like a superstar. You know what I'm saying? So it was
I
right.
know, I know about it.
Right. So it became, difficult, but my that's where the love kicked in. You know what I'm saying? I loved my
Yeah,
son enough to say, man, I can't do this no more. And then I caught a hit, and I already had made up my mind. Prison wasn't an option for me. I made up my mind when I first started.
and you know what? That's so. Think about it. I I I figured out that it was time for me to leave the streets and what I was the game I was doing. When my daughters started getting older, not when they was born because I still was full speed, but when
Right.
they started getting older, and you knew it was time to stop or change when your son was born.
Absolutely.
So you gotta think about it for a minute. A lot of people wouldn't do that. You know what I mean? A lot of people would just keep. They don't, like you said, they don't stop until they dead, in prison, an insane asylum, or addicted. In a drug rehabs forever. You know
Right.
what I mean? So we both had the intellect and the love. You know that we knew that bringing lives into this world that we had to change and paint different pictures. You know what I mean? And then that's kudos to both of us. You know
Yeah,
what
yeah,
I
yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. We had the
mean?
foresight to see that, okay, this this life has a expiration date. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It has an expiration date. So that's
Mm-hmm.
basically what it was. It expired. It was time to do something different.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's the story of my life, though. Things change, and I need to try something different. That's how I maneuver.
Hey, we was able to change, you know, um, because of positive creations, and we made things positive, and
Absolutely.
that's a blessing. That's a good thing. So I'm proud of both of us. You know
Uh,
what I mean?
yeah, yeah. I'm proud of you as well, brother. And with that said, it's our time, man. It's our
Yeah.
time is up tonight.
But look,
Go ahead.
go ahead. When you fit, I wanted to say. I remember I told you I had something I wanted to say
Oh,
before we
okay. I
leave.
just wanted to thank Bernard, Janice, Sharon, Margie, all of you who are watching on YouTube. I can't see your names. We appreciate you, and come back next week because it gets greater later. It's only going
Oh,
to get better.
that's right.
Go ahead.
And I've been sitting on this for a minute, but I said I was gonna tell you, but I wanted to tell everybody while we doing the show. Um, when we first started doing the show, when we was trying to find our niche, it seemed like for me we wasn't finding a niche, or for me on my end, or maybe on your end too, because you was telling me, somebody said it seemed like you wasn't interested, or somebody, you know what I mean, and most of my stuff I was keeping in, just hoping that it changed, and it was like a couple of weeks where it got real rough for me, like, you know what I mean, like I really wanted to stop doing the show, but
Right,
I didn't know how to tell you. You know what
right.
I mean? But it's people who probably listening who they probably know. I was telling them
Okay.
like I can't do this show no more. Like it's too much different from my show. You know
Right.
what I mean? I can't
Can't
because if
get your
you
rhythm. Can't get
I
your rhythm.
couldn't because if you notice when we do your show 8 to 9, I don't go on my platform anymore. I just go on YouTube, your platform, YouTube, and your Facebook Live. Um, because I had to find out that my audience is different from your audience.
Right.
So I can't bring my audience to what we talking about because then later on I gotta hear, oh, that was boring, or it ain't amping like yours, or it
Right.
wasn't that. So I had to come to make the determined idea, and I said, you know what? And I've been doing this a long time now.
Right.
I don't know if you knew, but I don't go on my platforms when we doing this show. I just be on your YouTube and your Facebook Live, and people follow us there. That's from me and you.
Right. Okay.
But I was like coming close. It was killing me. It was like, man, I can't do this show no more. I can't get my niche with this show. We not really talking about what I want to talk about, and we was going back and forth with things. But anyway, to make a long story short, um, some somewhere along the line it changed. It changed where now I love doing this show. Um, I look more forward to doing this show than doing my show, believe it or not, because my show is I never know how it's gonna turn out.
Right.
Um, I can't be like crazy by myself. You know what I mean? If I'm amped up and I don't get nobody else to come on amped up, then the show won't flow the way I want it to flow. I mean, most of the time it do, but I'm
Right.
just
Right.
saying. Um, so I just wanted to say that to let you know that we came a long way. You know what I mean? We came a long way because I came very close a lot of times to like yo, this ain't working, Shy. Like this ain't working for me. You know what I mean? And now it came to all the way where we at. Like that we come out here and we do our thing, we do our questions, and we got our listeners, and like hopefully like it'll keep getting greater later, and more people will tell more people, and we just keep doing what they doing. I'm just and I have told people like nah, I love doing this show now. I really do. You know what I mean? And we just came a long way, and we was fine. We had to find our glitch anyway.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. We both. I mean, and I heard similar things too,
Yeah,
and and that's the thing. So whenever you hear stuff, it's like, okay, now how do I make this make this work?
right,
You know what I mean? Because as you said, we have different styles. Like we have different styles.
right.
However, we both adaptable.
Mm-hmm.
That's the key point. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? We both can adapt.
Yep.
So because there's times before when I'll get on the show with you and I blame right in.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
it's being adaptable, and it's for me it's about like I just don't want us to be pigeonholed.
right.
You know what I mean? Where people expect one type of thing from us, and if
Yep.
they don't get that, we it's, and because we're not one dimensional individuals.
Right.
So why should we have a one dimensional show? That was my thing.
No, you're right. You're right. You're right. You're 100% right. A
You know,
thousand percent right. And I'm glad. I'm glad that I'm glad that we found our niche. You know what I mean? And the sky is the limit. Hopefully
absolutely,
we get some
absolutely,
sponsors one day.
yeah.
And
See. Well, once this book come out, see how it comes. I want to see, where people get to kind of know me some. You know what I mean? Where people can ask me questions based on what they read. You know,
yeah,
and then I still would like to get more people on live. Because reading what people say is one thing, but talking directly to them that's a whole nother thing. It's a
mm.
whole nother energy.
That's bringing me to so everybody
Let
else,
them
you know
know.
how we do it. I'm gonna be going to my TikTok in about 10 minutes. I'll take me a little break, and I'll be going to my TikTok at jshawn763, and I'm still doing Facebook Live. I thought I was gonna cut that loose, but I'm still doing the Facebook Live until somebody pissed me off again, telling me what I said or what I didn't say or who I said it to.
Well, you got to remember those people on the sideline, man. You always gonna get some hecklers, so
Yeah.
that's how you got to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
You always gonna get there's all anytime you hear comedians, they say they got hecklers in the audience. So what they do, they just learn how to
When
deal with them.
when I wrote my first book in 2008, when I wrote the Patterson Pimp, and I was big on emails then, and my book was all over like the world and stuff, and I was getting emails like crazy, like positive, but every now and then a negative would come in like no, 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 I read your book. I don't see you as a pimp. You know what I mean? I see you as a gigolo, or you was fall in love with hoes, or you got babies by hoes. Like I was, you know what I mean? You was pimping in your backyard. Like I was hearing everything. Like so,
Right, right.
and every time I heard something negative, I was going right back on the emails, like fighting with the people. And then and then somebody told me, like, when you put your life out in the world, when you put your life out there, you gotta take the good with the bad. You know what I mean? You can't fight with everybody, Jay Sean, who got something negative to say about your book. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like all publicity is good publicity. So once I learned that, you know what I mean, I was all right. And that's with the podcast too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I gotta take the good publicity with the bad publicity, but it's all publicity. You know what
Yeah,
I
and
mean?
I'm gonna keep that in mind for mine because I'm gonna be finding out. I know everybody ain't gonna like it as
Yeah,
much as I would like everybody to like it, but long as it get enough people and the right people, that's
yeah.
that's that's my thing.
It
Long as it
will.
can
It
help some,
will.
yeah. Long as it can help somebody, man.
It will. It will. It definitely will.
All right,
But
brother. So
I'll be on everybody in about 15 minutes. I'll be on my. That's the beauty of TikTok. You don't gotta have a certain time. People on there all day long. Like I don't really gotta set time limits. Like I could
right,
just go on. I mean, for the people who know me, they probably like waiting, but TikTok is like beyond that. Like you have people from all over the world. So once you sign on, they just come on. That's the beauty of TikTok.
okay,
So until next, brother.
absolutely. Mine's too, my brother. So until next week. Peace. And thank you all. Thank you all for your time, for spending your time with us. See you next week. Peace.